Hi, this is Andrew Twidwell, owner of ABT Plumbing, Electric, Heat, and Air. Once again with the show You Got This. It's a show of DIY do's and don'ts. And we're trying out a new program, aren't we, Rosalie?
This is new technology. New technology. I'm a little bit nervous.
Yeah, we're hoping this works out. So we switched to this company called Riverside as opposed to doing Zoom. So we're going to have video up, so you'll be able to see our mugs. And if you want to, I'm looking at myself right now. Unfortunately, I'm looking at, it's weird when you're recording and looking at yourself. You're like, oh, how's my hair look? Oh, okay.
Not great.
How's the lighting? Yeah, it'll
Not
work.
great.
It's good enough. Yeah. I'm a 55-year-old plumber, whatever. What can you expect?
For sure. Well, the reason, if anyone cares, the reason that we went to this medium, so to speak, is because we've been doing this for a long time. And it's interesting, when we came up with the idea to do this, You Got This, and both our lives were slightly different. But right when we had determined we were going to do this, I was moving cross country. And because of technology, we knew that wouldn't be a big deal. And so for years now, we've done it. We've done this show while you and I think we've been in person together and done about 6 or 7 shows, maybe 8 shows total. The rest
we would pack them up. There was a while there where you'd be back in the West Coast, and we would do like 6 or 7 shows, it seems sometimes, and just line them up. But and we were early adopters of Zoom, and we were doing Zoom 6 years ago. So way before the pandemic.
We were. And what we found is that, fingers crossed that this is all recording the way it's supposed to. This is our first, go through.
I see the little line moving when I talk.
I do too.
So that's a good thing. Yeah.
I'm hoping. But the reason, but Zoom does this thing where Andrew and I have known each other long enough, and we're friends and colleagues and all this. And we kind of talk over each other because we get excited, or I know what he's going to say, or
finish each other's sentences. Yeah.
I remember a story or whatever. And with Zoom, the sound drops out. And KNCO has been so great. They have just basically taken whatever hunk of junk we handed them and cleaned it up to the best of their abilities and put it on the air. And so now we're trying to produce a slightly better quality product. So hopefully, if you're listening to this, the quality is a little bit better. And Andrew has been all about the video forever. And I've been like, why do people want to, okay, all right, kid. Yeah. So I'm the old lady in the scenario. I'm like, those young kids and their technology, who wants to watch video?
Their videos,
But here
apparently a lot of people, TikTok's one of the largest and fastest growing platforms, social media platforms. And Zuckerberg's totally given up on text, and it's all video now. So pushing you towards Reels, right? And same thing with Instagram, which they also own. So Meta.
But the thing is, that would make sense for us. So here's my holdup has always been, you're just going to sit and watch us talk to each other. This is not, it's different to me if you're doing a video on, one of my favorite topic on the planet, essentially, is pallets and upcycling pallets. If we were going to do a demonstration using the video on how to do that, I could understand video. But if it's just us sitting there talking about it, so I was the one that said video is stupid, but here we are.
And we'll improve it. We'll get some. We'll get an editor in here at some point and kind of like do the switching of the screens and all that stuff. It's just 2 screens up front and
something fancy. So anyway.
Something fancy, but that's to be determined. Yeah. So we're trying this new technology. I hope you guys hope it sounds good. And should we just roll in? Because we got plenty of information here. So speaking of new technology, how did you come up with this list?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I need to stop doing this, because if Andrew Twidwell could fire me and just use a robot, he would. So I have been.
If I could fire everybody and just use robots, it would be fantastic.
It's so sad.
People are hard. Let's just be honest.
People are horrible.
People are hard.
People are horrible.
So, and employees particularly. Coworkers are hard.
I'm a peach, so
you
whatever.
Are a peach. You're one of my least demanding coworkers. Yeah.
I know. I appreciate that. So, but I also track you down in ways other people don't. So you gotta just say that. But anyway, No, so I used Chat AI, and what happens is, and we've talked about this before. I'm so sorry. I just want to say this. It's not that I'm not creative, but my job is very varied, right? So one minute I'm working on this thing over here. The next minute I got to go do this thing over there. And a lot of the times when it, at the end of the day or when I have a deadline, the creativity has been used up. The bank is empty, man. Yep. So in those instances, I think that Chat AI is kind of cool because I'll just throw up a topic and say something and then it'll give me a bunch of information and I didn't have to research and I didn't have to
go in and edit it.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of fun with it. So yeah, we're using ChatGPT quite a lot these days. So, but anyway, so this is our list, and I think it's very timely, being that we're recording this on Wednesday, so we're right in the beginning of this storm that's coming in, and by the time this airs on Friday, who knows how much snow we're going to have? Are we going to get dusting, or are we going to get feet of snow? I don't know, but I have heard that hopefully it's a pretty cold storm, so the snow should be pretty dry, so we shouldn't see too many power outages or trees falling. It's not a heavy, wet one like some of the other ones we've had in the past. But you came up with this list for if your power goes out due to inclement weather. Here are 10 things you can do to stay safe and comfortable. So it is kind of timely, and sorry that we didn't get this out. We're getting this out. We're recording this on Wednesday, just before the storm, and you'll be hearing this after the storm. But it looks like there's some storms that are piled up. So, and this is kind of evergreen. If you live in the mountains, if you live in the foothills, there's always this is an issue all the time, every year, and whether it is from weather related, heat related, even we have power outages during heat waves, and we have power outages due to PSPs in our area. So these are all really good, and the wind, yeah. And gosh, that wind yesterday! Oh my goodness, we pulled my trailer down to Sacramento to get it. We're going on a trip, and I had to get it out of the potential snow, and I thought I was going to get blown off the road. It was so scary. I was going like 45, 55 miles an hour. And I know 55 is the speed limit when you're pulling a trailer, but when you're pulling a trailer and people are lining up behind you because the speed limit's 65 for them, you feel a little weird, and typically, I've got a setup that it's pretty comfortable at going the speed limit, but when you're doing 55, it seems really slow, but that thing was all over the place. It was hard to keep it in the lane. But anyway, so yeah, very windy. So one of the things that the first thing is they suggest is stay informed. Keep track of updates of your local authorities regarding the outage, any safety warnings that may be relevant to your area. So that's really good information. And, with PG&E, they do keep their website pretty up to date. They do a fairly good job. I know I'm signed up for the warnings for multiple locations for both our offices and for our home. And they let you know. So, what the problem is, and you want to know if there's any down power lines in your area and that sort of thing, because it can be dangerous. Unfortunately, being the fact that we live in the mountains and some of the other utilities aren't so great about keeping things going, like having backup generators or battery banks, we typically lose internet. A lot of times we lose cell reception because of power outages. It's really unfortunate, and I really wish that somebody would do something about that. So if you don't have a landline, like most of us have gotten rid of our landlines, it can be a little difficult to stay informed. So a lot of times, you can drive to a different area, but
if you do, if you are able to stay connected to the outside world, to the resources that, in my opinion, from having lived there, that are the best, would be KNCO and also Ubinet. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, and the radio is typically on. They've got generators, so we've helped them with that generator, helped them with their power before. They're typically on, and Ubinet, they're up to date. So they're really good resources to get information. KVMR is another good resource as well. So if you've got a radio, a battery-powered radio, or some sort of backup power, be it a battery or a generator or something like that, you can actually, stay informed. So stay informed. That's a good one. Use flashlights or lanterns. Do not use candles as they pose a fire risk. This is really true. Not only do they form of fire risk. I found, my wife really likes scents. She's really, her olfactory senses are very strong. And she likes to burn candles a lot. And oh my gosh, we were just looking around the house and all the corners have like soot on the ceiling and stuff. So it leaves a lot of soot, and it's not really good indoor air quality situation. So really think about when you're using candles. The other
don't
issue,
forget the soy. Okay, so the soy candles. Sorry, I just have to say this. I shared this story a long time ago on the show. My brother-in-law, who was a fire chief at one point, this is in the Midwest. They were actually at a friend's house and at a party, and they went in the bathroom separately. My sister and brother-in-law, whatever, and they both were like, "Hey, did you see that Tracy had the candle?" And it was a big no-no that she had a burning candle to make things smell fresh, of course, in a bathroom. And my brother-in-law was like, you better you put that out, and yeah. Well, they got a phone call the next day. Guess whose bathroom caught on fire because those soy candles, they jump, those wicks, and it, dangerous. Yeah. So I don't even have soy candles in my house because I'm so concerned about turning my back. I mean, I get it. You don't want to leave one burning, but if it's a soy candle, you really can't even leave the room. Those things are really unsafe.
Yeah. So be very cautious if you're going to use candles as a backup light. I would just not do it. And then with flashlights and lanterns these days, I mean, you can get, I know we bought a lantern, gosh, this was a while ago, but an LED lantern, I think we got it maybe 6 or 7 years ago, and we haven't put new batteries in it. Those LED batteries,
that's impressive.
The LED uses so little power that it's not like the old incandescent bulbs that, you'd have to refresh the batteries after like 10 hours of use or whatever. These LED lanterns, you can use them for a long time. And if you are a DIY person, you probably have some battery bank packs for some of your tools. And most of the manufacturers make lanterns now, not just flashlights. So you can have an ambient light utilizing one of those batteries, and that'll last days. So, stay away from candles, use flashlights and lanterns is a really good way. I know for us, I ended up buying, we don't have a generator at our house other than a small portable, but I ended up buying a 2,000 watt battery pack, just a lithium ion battery pack, because we use it in the RV and we use it for, tailgating and stuff. And that thing is amazing. So I'll use the generator to charge the battery, charges it in a couple hours, and then just run everything off of that. And I can use my 110 lights and lamps, all the portables with extension cords. And that thing is just a battery bank, so I can bring it inside. It doesn't produce any exhaust, and plug things into it. That thing is amazing. Speaking of appliances and such, when the power is off, turn your appliances off. Unplug them is even better. I can't tell you how many times we get calls after a power outage, or particularly after lightning, where appliances have failed. And it's kind of crazy, but most appliances these days have some kind of CPUs, have some kind of computer board on them. Those things are really sensitive to voltage spikes. A lot of them have fuses on them to protect the board, but they're a sacrificial fuse. So once the fuse blows, the board's wiped, and you got to replace the board on the appliance. And we're talking like refrigerators, TVs, toasters, blenders, all these things these days have, and coffee makers have these little boards on them. The toaster in the oven, or the toaster in the coffee maker, you're talking, under $100. But I've seen refrigerators, $1,500, $2,000 refrigerators get blown, and having to replace the board on those can be, $500 to $1,000. So unplug the things. If you've got them on, the best thing to do is put them on a power strip and unplug the power strip. And at least on the power strip, you've got some surge protection. Ideally, you have a whole house surge protector installed, and that's something that we do. And we can install it inside the main box. So if there is a surge that comes in from the PG&E, from a lightning storm, or from just when they turn the power back on, sometimes you just get a big jolt of electricity, it will shut the system off and reset itself. So that's something to think about. Ooh, you're sneezing. Sure.
I was going to ask you though. God, that was terrifying because we're on camera now.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, is that a common thing? Because I don't having a whole house surge protector.
It's less common than it should be. It's not code. It's not required. But it's one of those things that we get asked about, and we try to promote it as much as we can. It's one of those little known things, but they can save quite a bit of money. Like I know a few years back, we had a lightning surge down near Perimeter Road, and one of our customers lost their water treatment system that we installed. Their refrigerator, they just moved in, so they had a really nice $3,000 side by side refrigerator. Their 65-inch TV fried, and a couple other components inside their house just fried, just gone. And some of these things like TVs, when a 65-inch TV now costs you $500 or $800, is it worth taking it in to get it fixed? Because that'll probably cost you $200 to $300, possibly more, or just buy a new one. It's one of those bad things these days. But in any event, unplug your appliances. And you got sirens going by. So, of course, that's going to happen. But at least we don't have an airplane flying over our head right now. That's kind of a classic thing on YouTube, right?
Well, it's funny because
an airplane goes over your head.
It's funny because I always think that these are, kind of the cheap whatever. And it picks up everything in the background. Like, I'm really pleased right now that my DOG is chilling, because if he were to get excited, he'd be on the air right now. So,
right. Oh yeah, with the sirens. So that's good. He was chill.
It was.
So here's another one: keep your refrigerator and fridge closed. Refrigerator and freezer closed as long as possible. Even unplugging or even doing that though, you're gonna, if it's like half a day or a day, you're gonna notice a considerable drop in temperature or rise in temperature inside your refrigerator. If you can stay out of it completely, that's your best bet. Don't even open it, because I've had it explained to me like the cold kind of stacks up in there in a refrigerator like sand. Oh. The cold temperature kind of like stacks up, and then when you open the door, the sand kind of pours out, and then you close it, and it starts to fill it again. Because cold sinks, so it kind of has that density and it kind of flows out. That's why, like your chest kind of freezer, when you open it, the cold doesn't come out when it's at the top door. Those are a little more efficient than the easily accessible refrigerators we have. So if you open it, all that cold just kind of drops out, and it doesn't have the chance to regenerate that cold. So if you can, if it's this time of year, and you don't have too many problems, you have a safe place to put it where you're not going to have too many critters get at it, put your stuff outside or put it in the garage. You have a much better chance of keeping it cold than inside your refrigerator. The other thing is, again, if you got a generator or a battery, I run my refrigerator on our 2,000-watt battery, and that thing will run that refrigerator pretty much all day. Or it'll run that refrigerator for days on end with 2,000 watts, because most refrigerators are fairly efficient these days. But if you can keep it closed as long as you possibly can, because it doesn't have a way to fill it back up with coldness or sand, if you will. Keeping warm. This is always a problem when living in the mountains and when power goes out. I know you always had a really problem when you were living up on Banner, because you didn't have a wood stove. Did you even have a fireplace?
We had so there's a fireplace, but I mean, I have a fireplace.
Fireplaces don't heat that great.
I have a fireplace where I live now. It's completely ornamental. It's a decoration choice. It's not generating any heat, right? So I just didn't want the house filling up with smoke, and I didn't want to have to deal with that, so I never used it. Because without a blower, which if your power goes out, you don't have a blower, you're really just heating the chimney.
Yeah, and it doesn't, fireplaces do produce a little bit of heat, but it's not like a wood stove that you have a whole box that's radiating heat. Fortunately, most homes in Nevada County, even Placer County, where you run into these issues where we know power is going to go out at some point this year, where you have some kind of backup heat, you want to be really cautious about the types of heater that you use. when you start getting into kerosene heaters and propane heaters that are burning gas and that aren't vented, you have the potential to kill yourself. It's scary. You can see headlines all the time about this. Every year somebody dies from carbon monoxide poisoning. So even like the little buddies and things like that have oxygen sensors, you want to make sure you've got some fresh air coming in to make sure that there's enough oxygen to breathe. Even when they don't potentially produce carbon monoxide, because it's a really efficient unit, you still got to run it. You still can run into those problems. So really be cautious about the types of heaters that you use. And I've seen a lot of stuff on the internet lately about the cheap tea light heaters where you use tea candles and clay pot and use that as an interior heat. And they're promoting it for homeless people. If you're in a cardboard box, you don't have to worry about you don't have to worry about carbon monoxide because it's you got plenty of air going through. Or if you're in a tent, you still have that potential, but most of the time you have pretty good airflow. But when you're inside, I've been reading a lot of people have gotten lightheaded and potentially, I haven't heard of anybody dying, but they do produce carbon monoxide. Anytime you have something that contacts the flame, you're going to have carbon monoxide because you have incomplete combustion and it drops off carbon monoxide. So you see them a lot on the internet, like cheap way of heating your home. And it's
I always think that those are like clickbait. Those are, in my mind, those are like clickbait to get you to click through and I ignore those mostly. Yeah.
I go down that rabbit hole because I love that kind of stuff, like survival stuff. And
if you could live off the grid, I think you would. I really do.
Yeah. But I do like seeing people. I don't necessarily like hanging out with them, but I do like to see people. So, but in any event, really be cautious about anything that's burning inside your home.
Good rule.
Because it has the potential for producing carbon monoxide. Even that wood stove, you want to make sure the carbon monoxide detectors are working. And if the power's out, not a bad idea to have a backup battery-operated carbon monoxide detector, not just the ones that plug into the wall, because you're going to be burning something. So have these things in mind, because it's not if in Nevada County the power is going to go out, it's when. And it's not like a yearly thing, it's multi times throughout the year. So as we all know, keep warm, make sure you have warm clothes and blankets and
drive this bus home, Andrew. We're almost done. Oh
yeah, we are. Avoid opening doors and windows. Avoid opening doors and windows unless you're using like a little buddy or a big buddy and or kerosene lanterns or kerosene things. You want to have a window cracked. But normally speaking, to stay warm, keep the windows closed and doors closed. Using a portable generator. If you have a generator, follow the manufacturer's instructions, stay safe, and use it outdoors, people. Do not put it in your garage and close the garage door. They produce carbon monoxide. You have a running engine. It will kill you. And on that note, stay safe, people. Hope we didn't have too many power outages and hope we don't have any outages coming forward through the next week. If you need any help with your plumbing, electrical, heating, and air, you can reach us at 530-230-9092. That number again, 530-230-9092. You can find us on the web at easyasabt.com or abtplumbing.com, and like us on Facebook, Instagram, and we will have YouTube up. So keep an eye out on social media because we'll be posting these things on YouTube, and then we'll be also sharing them on our website. Thanks for listening, and catch you guys next week. Bye.